So today's video is going to be a list of some fall book recommendations. I do these videos basically every year, and every year I try to have different ones. So if you get through this list and you're still looking for more fall reading recommendations, I'll have my videos from previous years linked in the description bar down below. For today, I have mostly fantasy, but a couple of other genres mixed in. And at the end, I'm going to recommend a couple of shows for you to check out in this fall season. But before we get into the list here, a big thank you to GlassesUSA.com for sponsoring today's video. GlassesUSA.com is an online glasses retailer, takes the middleman out of the equation so you can get your glasses from the comfort of your own home. I know I was always really hesitant to do something like that because I like trying my glasses on. I know glasses, it's a kind of an investment. You're going to be wearing them on your face all the time. You want to make sure you like them. They have a means of trying on your glasses virtually. I actually got glasses from them before I ever worked with them, and I ended up loving them, and I think that the virtual try-on worked very, very well. But even if you're not 100% satisfied with your glasses, they have a great return policy. If you're not sure what your prescription is, you can also use their app to scan your glasses and then figure out your prescription. They also have a variety of different styles. They have regular glasses, prescription glasses. If you don't actually need glasses prescription, but you just want blue light glasses, so maybe you work on screens a lot, they have that option as well. I'll show you a few of what I think are some fantastic fall glasses. This particular pair here, I absolutely love because I just think that it goes with so many cozy hoodies and sweaters. A couple of other pairs that I think are absolutely great for fall would be one, this pair. It's a really deep red. We also have this pair. I think these are really cool. They do something different that I hadn't really seen before, which is that they have the frame on the bottom, which is gold, looks very elegant, but then they don't have a frame on top. And I will be doing a giveaway for GlassesUSA.com. All you have to do is follow them on their YouTube page and then leave a glasses emoji in your comment, and that's it. And then check the community tab. I'll post the winner over there, and we'll get you a pair of glasses for free. Jumping into the fall reading recs now, just a little heads up, I will recommend books whether I absolutely love them or not because I think taste is so subjective, and just because I might not love it, you might definitely love it. And that is absolutely the case for this first one, which would be Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. A lot of people know Leigh Bardugo as the author of the Grishaverse, but this particular story is a dark academia story. It takes place in our own world, but it explores very, very dark secret societies on these elite college university campuses. We follow a main character that has dealt with a lot in her past, and the present day story, the part that takes place on the campus, is very, if you like dark academia, you are gonna get that with this. It's very atmospheric, it's very creepy, it's very scary, it's a little violent. Next up, we have another very well-known fantasy author, and that would be Victoria Schwab, and the specific story that I'm going to be mentioning would be This Savage Song and Our Dark Duet. So this also is rooted in what feels like our world. The premise for this story is just a duology, it's YA, and the setup is that it's kind of like what if terrible actions literally created monsters? What would our world then look like? How would we handle it? Have two young people that are members of these prominent families involved with how the monsters are dealt with. One of them is a girl who's kind of got a chip on her shoulder. She's rough around the edges. And then the other character is actually one of the monsters, but he looks like a human. And so you see these two characters meet, and you see them come from very different backgrounds. And the one that is a monster is as sweet as can be, and then the girl who is a human is a little bit on the darker side. And so it kind of flips the expectations on their head, and also it's such a unique, interesting premise. Next up, we have The Bone Shard Daughter. I have sung this book's praises quite a bit this year. The sequel is coming out very soon, which I'm very excited about. And this one, I think, is kind of a genre bender. It sort of takes aspects from several different genres. At its core, it is a fantasy story. It's multiple POV, and we have one character who is the daughter of the emperor. She is tasked with trying to regain her memories. If she does not, she cannot then take her father's place. She's sort of pitted against her adopted brother sort of figure, and she's really desperate to regain her memories because she needs to learn how the magic works. You have no idea why she lost her memories, and there's this mystery that's sort of tied with that. There's also some creepy things that are tied to the magic system itself. You sort of get almost body horror types of things going on, and there's definitely some sci-fi leaning types of themes that are brought up in this story. It starts a little bit more where you think, oh, okay, I've seen this before. I've seen characters pitted against each other. I've seen a character who's lost their memories. I've seen a character with a parental figure that's really hard on them. You think you know these tropes, and then what the author does with them is really fascinating. And then we have another character who I adore named Jovis, who's looking for his missing wife. He has this interesting animal companion, and he originally is trying to be a smuggler so that he can afford his ventures that are somewhat sad in nature because he's looking for his missing wife. But he ends up sort of becoming a hero because he is smuggling children to safety, and even though he's trying to keep a low profile, doesn't exactly keep a low profile. So we have those two main characters as well as some others that tackle a lot to do with class. But either way, there are just some aspects of this story that lean a little bit into horror, which is why I think it's perfect for fall. Next up, we have the first retelling on this list, and that would be Rebel Rose. This is a part of the Queen's Counsel series. It's the first installment, and it is a technically Beauty and the Beast retelling, sort of. So the idea for this series is that you take classic stories that so many of us are familiar with, like Beauty and the Beast, and then you place them in a certain time in history. So in this one, we are being placed around the French Revolution, and our main characters is sort of a what would happen next, because you're not actually exploring the events of Beauty and the Beast, you're going after those. And so therefore now our characters are trying to avoid the horrors of the French Revolution that are happening from coming to them. Next up, we have a thriller book, another dark academia, and that would be The Maidens. So I am not somebody who reads a ton of thrillers. I read this book because my mom really enjoys this genre and I wanted to buddy read something with her. And I mean, it was very entertaining. I think falls into the thing that a lot of thrillers do, which is how well you are able to predict or not predict what's going to happen can negatively affect how you feel about it. I predicted things immediately, pretty much immediately, but then I've seen other people upset because they felt like you could never possibly have predicted it and the author didn't lay anything out. And I was like, what? As soon as I was like, I think it's that person, then the rest of the time, everything was screaming to me, see, here's the evidence, it's right there in front of you. But that's part of the fun of reading a thriller. And this one, we see this character who she is really struggling. She lost her husband, and so she is in the process of grieving, but something happens on the college campus that what is essentially her adopted daughter, it's kind of her niece that she took in. Her niece goes to school, and there's a murder that happened, and she is convinced the Greek tragedy professor specifically is the one who did it. There is this group of girls who are kind of obsessed with them and have started this little group called the Maidens, and so the main character thinks that this professor has taken advantage of these girls. They think that he's murdering them, he's doing other things with them, and so it's creepy. You don't know what's going on. You don't know, is it him or is it someone else? And there's all these people that pop up along the way, and it's just highly entertaining. It's highly entertaining. I wouldn't say it was deeply impactful or anything like that, but you could probably read it in a sitting, you could read it in a night or during a weekend. Next up, we have the Book of Coley. This is a sci-fi story. I do want to say the reason I'm putting it on this list is because of the setting. The setting is this post-apocalyptic world, and there's a lot that has happened to the plant life, and then therefore not only do you have plants, which make it very atmospheric, playing a role in the story, but these plants have kind of mutated to want to feed off of people and creatures and things like that, which is why it's on this list. But I want to clarify that I think the marketing for this book has upped that aspect more so than it's actually in the book. So I don't want to have anybody go in with the wrong expectations. I think that setting is a little bit more in the background, but it's there enough that made me want to put it on this list. But a big part of the story is following a character who's very naive. He's discovering things about where he lives. Everybody's kind of divided into small little places with small amounts of population. And there's also leftover technology. He has the opportunity to maybe find out more about the technology, and so you get a fantastic AI companion, if you will, in this. If you like snarky AI, then this is the book for you. Next up, we have These Violent Delights. This is a Romeo and Juliet retelling / West Side Story. We follow two characters from rival gangs in 1920s Shanghai. one of the characters, the Romeo figure, comes from a Russian gang, and the other character comes from the Chinese gang. And you see these two characters have this history, and now they sort of hate each other. They're on these opposing sides, and they are forced to work together when there is this illness going around that causes people to rip their own throats out and kind of claw at themselves. And it's gross. The next two books, though, are definitely perfect for those of you who like romance. One of them is literally a romance book. It is called Sweet Hand, Enemies to Lovers. So we have the two main characters who hate each other. Obviously, that's the trope. And one of them, her sister, is marrying the best friend of the other character, and because it's best man and maid of honor, they are forced to work together on behalf of their family slash friends. There's definitely a big friend dynamic to this story, so if you like that kind of almost found family aspect, then you're probably gonna like it. But the reason I have this one for fall, even though I can see it being read in the summer, even though I can see it being read in the spring, is that our main character, and the reason it's called Sweet Hand, is because she is a pastry chef. She makes all sorts of goodies, and I just think of all the goodies that we like to eat around the holiday season. The next book is also great if you like romance, but I would say it's equal parts romance, equal parts fantasy, and that would be For the Wolf. This is kind of like a hybrid Beauty and the Beast, Little Red Riding Hood retelling. I thought it was going to be all Little Red Riding Hood, but the Beauty and the Beast aspects are very strong in this one. We have a character who is given to the wolf, which is this figure that lives in this forest. They are required to give the second royal daughter to this figure to try and keep whatever scary things are involved in the forest from coming to them. And then when our main character is assigned this task and then has to go, she finds out things are not exactly what they seem. And there's a lot more involved with the forest than any of them originally thought. So not only is it a retelling, but it also has a kind of scary forest aspect. Next up, we have Ninth Reign, or the Winnowing Flame trilogy. If you can get around to all three of them, that would be awesome, because it's one of my favorite series of all time. And the reason this is on here is because there are aspects of the story that are kind of horrifying, and then there are aspects of the story that sort of have to do with animal companions, and there's bugs, which are gross, and I would recommend this for all seasons, but I'm recommending it for fall because of the ones I just mentioned. The setup for the story is that you have what seem like familiar fantasy tropes or groups of types of people, and then they're kind of flipped on their head. So you have groups of people who are basically elven. They are near immortal, and they gain their immortality by drinking the sap of this one magical tree. But this tree has basically died. They can no longer drink its sap, and now these people have turned to humans and started drinking their blood, which there's like this vampire aspect to the story, but that sort of backfires by creating something called the Crimson Flux, which is this illness that has taken over these groups of people, which are known as the Eborans. So now Eborans are almost going extinct. They're dying off, but Eborans have the secrets to the wars that have always come. You don't really know much about these wars, but they hold the secrets to making sure that mankind survives them, except for their dying off. And we follow one of the few people who is still left. His name is Tor. He bands together with a character who is a witch and a character that is a human. It's great. I love it so much. I want everybody to read it. Last, for the book recommendations, this is the third book on the list that I don't love, but I think has the creepy forest. It's one of the best creepy forests. I did like that aspect of this book, and that would be Uprooted by Naomi Novik. So this is another kind of retelling. We have a character who is, it sounds very similar to For the Wolf. We have a character who is given to a figure who's supposed to keep the people safe from this creepy forest. Sounds exactly the same. I promise it's not the same in its writing and its tone. It's the basic premise that sounds the same, but otherwise very different. Very folklore inspired, and it's very scary and a very grim fairy tale kind of way. And if you are a fan of that kind of storytelling, I think you'll really like it. It's also a standalone, which is great. So many fantasy books are part of series, and not everybody has the time. I know not everybody has the time. So if you're looking for a just one and done kind of story, this one is probably going to be great for you. The two TV show recommendations I have, one of them would be The Promised Neverland. This is an anime that follows these children who are seemingly very happy just in an orphanage waiting to get a family, and then some of the kids find out things are not what they seem, and it is fantastic. The first season is absolutely amazing, one of the best things I've ever watched. I think it's just about perfect. I love the first season. Second season, I mean, I think they could have had more seasons. There's only 2. and it definitely has a different feel to it, less horror-like than the first season, which everything about the camera angles, the sound effects, it's genuinely pretty scary. You fear for these kids so much, but overall, I still really enjoy both seasons. It's only 2 seasons, which is kind of nice, and I love the characters. I think that it's definitely a show you can marathon. So if you just want to sit one evening and be like, you know what, I just want to watch a whole show, this is the show for you. Not scary at all. It's my favorite show, and I talk about it when I can, and that would be What We Do in the Shadows. Season 3 is out. I'm so excited. It's the funniest show. I need more people to watch it. It's a mockumentary that follows vampires who've been alive a very long time, but they, generally speaking, stay in their house, and they have a human familiar that runs their errands and does the basic day-to-day stuff for them, and every now and then they try to do the basic day-to-day stuff or night-to-night stuff for themselves. They're not very good at it, and it's really ridiculous. That's it for some fall reading recommendations as well as watching recommendations. Don't forget to check out GlassesUSA.com. Don't forget to enter the giveaway. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you all later. Bye.